us more about some of the greatest technological advances that you've seen over the last several years around data analytics in particular.
Right, so we're getting ready to launch this year a certification called Data Plus, which will offer up the opportunity for people to get certified in the data analytics space. So that's an area where you've seen applications like Power BI and other applications that have come from major vendors become much more mainstream. Everybody still struggles with having too many data silos, having too many pieces of data in too many different places, and being able to bring those all together into these environments. So I think that's been the biggest change that's happened over time, is products like Power BI and others that sit over the top of all these data silos and make it easy to bring in data from different sources so that they can be displayed to the users in a reasonable way that they can understand. They can see charts and graphs and tables and being able to pull those things in. But even we are struggling currently with that, because a lot of our reports tend to be looking at one discrete period over another discrete period, as opposed to looking at things over a time horizon. So being able to identify trends doesn't necessarily come from looking at one period versus another period. It comes from looking at the long-term trends, analyzing those, doing forecasting off those. So we're going to go back and create longer time series of some of these data and try to create 4 years worth of history across potentially thousands of different pieces of information related to our business. The other thing is, everybody has way more data than they can ever analyze. And if you're talking about your website traffic and the different users that you have coming and the different ways you're capturing leads, then you bring in your whole social media feeds and streams and all those applications. I don't think the ability, the processing power and imagination has caught up to the amount of data that we have available to us to analyze. I think we need to kind of really narrow down our list of, okay, what are the most important pieces of data that we have in our business, and get systems in place to be able to monitor those over time and see where those are tracking. And then slowly look at other pieces that you need to bring in. So we've started to do a lot of paid search just recently over the last couple of years. That's something we need to start paying attention to on a routine basis to see what that performance is looking like, instead of just, as I said, discrete period versus discrete period. How is that changing? So the biggest things that I think are happening there, being able to sift through the data and find potential trends. And that's what AI has generally been reasonably good at, is looking through mountains of data and trying to find patterns to be able to say, look, hey, we found that this combination of these two variables looks like they move in lockstep. You should start paying attention to those as indicators maybe of each other. Or these things are not really related. Or we find that this behavior happens at a certain time of the day or a certain audience that's coming in. So I think being able to use AI to do a little bit of that, so it can tell the humans what data they should actually be looking at, because it's just too overwhelming for most people to manage all that information. So I hope that the expansion of some of these platforms that make it much more digestible, at the same time people making sure that they're going through the process of identifying their own critical pieces of data that they have, that'll get them thinking about the data they don't have that they should start collecting. And I think if people do that, they can make much better use of their data and the tools that are out there.